Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky194, and appreciate you taking the time to visit and check out my video. And we are here at Barcelona. I haven't been here in a while, but I'm just kind of following up on doing a setup for the Nissan GTR, the 2018. But I'm doing it a little bit different this time, so hopefully y'all will like that, enjoy the video. We're going to compare what the difference is between the aggressive setup and my setup. And we're going to compare it as much as we can as far as, of course, the times. We're going to look at the setup and what the wear of the tires and things like that. So, fast lap, what it does over like a 10 lap stint, 10, 11 lap stint, something like that. So we're going to compare the both and see what it does. So here I did, this course isn't the first session with the aggressive, but I did, only thing, and I will go over what I changed, but just a few minor things that I did just to try to make it as comfortable as I can for my driving. But as far as the setup itself, I didn't touch anything. It's just to give it a fair chance. So again, like tire pressures and brake ducts and things like that, just giving it a fair chance. So I can try to get the best out of the aggressive setup without doing any major changes. So we're going to go over, so definitely this video will definitely be a little longer for sure going over that. But yeah, you can see that my best is a 145.27. So let's go over that lap and see what the car looks like. Oh, that was 11. Here we go. So let's just take a quick look here. And of course, this is the fast lap that I could do with it, but we're going to go over some things in the timetables, and I'll give it a little bit of a break just for the fact that there's a couple other fast sectors that if you could put them together, maybe go a little quicker. But it's definitely understeering, pretty good, and it's got wings not maxed out or anything, but it's got some pretty bad understeer to it. You just start cooking the left front tire, and obviously in the beginning when the tires are fresh, and especially when you're in qualifying rubber, you don't notice it as bad, but it just accelerates as you go, and that's what I want to go over the timetables to kind of show you the laps as you go. But it has good speed down the straightaway. I think it was 164, but we'll double check that again. See, it looks pretty solid. Yeah, but it does drive different than my setup. So, that's why it took a little while for me to kind of get accustomed to it and try to get the most out of it. The biggest change is just driving with the higher gears for the corners compared to like any other car, pretty much. I mean, it's pretty unique as far as that. Like, I take that in second, where any other car I'd be in first. So it's just the way the gear ratios are, which really help the Nissan if you take it in that gear higher. And we'll go over that some more too, probably in my setup. But you see that was a 145.27, like I said. Speed 164, yeah. But I'm braking pretty close to where I would, but it seemed that was just a teeny bit deep. But I mean, I'm braking pretty close to where I would with mine. But I don't think I'm carrying as much speed through there as I do with my setup. So, of course, my setup's still in progress. So, I mean, as I'm making this part of the video, it's, hopefully we'll see what I can get out of it maxed. Well, let's go over the timetables. Now you can see, like, there's a lap there, and this is not that big a difference, but this is about 2/10. So we'll add 2/10 down to that. So you can say, roughly, basically, you could get a fast lap of a 145.0. Maybe not flat, but a 145.05, 08, whatever. So again, I think that's, to me, that's really good. That's not bad. But the problem is, if you look at it here, it's not too bad for a few laps, and then and it's staying pretty consistent. I mean, you're staying right there, and then you make a little mistake, and then I lost a bunch, and that was on me. And then I brought it back down, and then it goes back up, and then I just keep losing. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And it just starts really accelerating, and I did an extra lap because that was, again, it got sideways on that real tight left-hander down there in the first sector, or starting the second sector. It got real loose, and I went out of bounds, so I kind of did another lap to see, because I know that was way off. But still, it's basically, almost a second, basically a second, roughly a second off. So that's not terrible, but it's not the greatest either, because if you're doing a longer race, you're going to be like 2 seconds off, because it's just accelerating at a fast rate. And that's even with me dialing the brake bias to the rear more. So that's another thing. I want, giving it every chance I can to help the setup out. I dialed some more brake bias into it to get the rear brakes to help stop the car, and maybe take a little bit of temperature off the fronts and things like that. And it helped a little bit, but again, it just starts accelerating still as far as wear in the left front, and we'll go to that. So let's go to the setup. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole setup because, like I said, this is just the aggressive, but you can see the tire pressures 24/7, 25/5 left rear, 26/4 right front, 26/6 right rear. So again, we'll compare that, but that's the pressures, and the temp is around 24, 25 degrees. So that's what it was when I was doing this. But I've just been kind of looking over some stuff as far as the wear and things. And here you go with this also. As you can see, here's the tires. Now, you can see, look at that. I mean, after 11 laps, it's got moderate graining and a blister on the left front. And, of course, you can look at the wear. I mean, already with 11 laps, you got, a pretty good amount of wear on the left front compared to the left rear, which is, again, that's one thing you're fighting here, Barcelona, with these long right-hand turns. And you got to try to find a way to minimize that, to keep it, the best that you can. It's always going to wear more, but what you're trying to do is keep it the best that you can, so your times just don't fall off a cliff. And that's basically what this is doing. It's basically the times are just going to fall off a cliff. Now here on the right side, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, you got moderate graining, but the wear is actually really good on the right side. But the left side is what's killing it. So again, it would be interesting to compare it with my setup to see how much of the wear, how close it is, how much more wear it has or less, or any of those things. So again, this is just the aggressive. And of course, I started with 65 liters, and I'll start the same with mine. And of course, all the shocks are the same. I'll show you what I changed. So basically, I changed the tire pressures. Other than that, everything's the same here. Electronics I did not touch, which, again, you can make some adjustments with the electronics. I'm sure you could help with some TC. That would help. If you're just wanting to run it aggressive, you could probably knock this up to 3 or 4. Maybe it'll help the rear, but it's not going to help the front. I mean, the front, it might help the front a teeny bit from not pushing it, but it's still, I mean, you're still going to have that problem. It's not going to help it. If it does, very little. Here, like I said, I went to 65 liters, and I went to the front brake pads number 1. So basically, I did that because that's what I'll do in my setup. And then here, the only other thing I changed was the steering ratio. I put it all the way down because this thing, with all this negative camber, you got to turn this thing a mile. And again, I tried to help the car out as far as that. So, because the driving, I don't drive as good when I got to turn the wheel like I'm driving a semi. So basically, I turned that down all the way to do the best I could with just the standard setup here. Shocks I did not touch, and I did adjust the brake ducts. So again, I adjusted the brake ducts and the tire pressures so I could try to get those maximized as far as the pressures in the right ranges and keeping the brakes hot and things like that. But again, here, all the ride heights and rear wings and everything's the same. I did not touch any of this stuff to make any kind of balance adjustment. So there's the aggressive. If you need again to take, I'll take a photo of it so we can compare. But if you need to, you can pause the video and take a photo of this so we can compare it when we get to the other setup just to see. But I will mention it anyway. I'll have it, so I'll mention it. But in case you want to look at it, but we'll see what the difference is and see what the time difference and see what the wear difference is. All right, well, we're back after getting done with my setup, the custom setup. Found out some interesting things, and of course, there's always more in it. I want to make sure I put that out there. I'm sure there's more time in it, but I got a really good base for it, and we're going to go over a bunch of different stuff. We're going to go over the lap, just show you that, and then of course I didn't even look at Motec as far as after I did the stint, and I did the exact same 11 laps, and we're going to go over Motec from both the standard setup and my setup, and we can see if we can see the difference. So we're going to go over that. So just trying to do a few little things and trying to compare them the best that I can, and look at the most things that I can. So first of all, let's go over the lap. I'll actually go over a couple laps. One, I just want to show you how I'm driving the track with the Nissan, since it is different compared to all the other cars. So we're going to start here. This is the first hot lap here of the stint. So my tires are still coming up to up the pressures. Of course, here I take it in third. Usually in most cars I take it in second, but the Nissan I take it in third. It just seems to work better. The car doesn't get as upset as it would in second. You just got to try to carry a little bit of corner speed. Same thing with this corner. I basically set it second. I keep it in third. Maybe near the end of a long stint, you maybe could go down to second to help it rotate, but I'm pretty sure that third is the best through there. I take that in second, where a lot of cars I take it first. Some I do in second, but definitely the Nissan here I take it in third. Where again, a lot of cars I take it in second. So again, you can see just with the gearing it has, and I stay in fourth here. It kind of reminds me of the Bentley as far as it's got so much mid-range. You don't really, to not upset the car, you really need to keep it in a gear higher. And even this corner, I take it in second, which I think every single car I take it first. Again, I keep it in third here, because this, for some reason, if you put it in second, it really wants to spin up the tires. So I try to leave it in third, just so it just keeps it, calms the car down a little bit. And then even through here, I keep it in second. And it's just got so much torque, and the gear ratios are so low that I think the car works a lot better through there. That was a 144.85. Again, like I said, that's my first lap, so the tires are, we're just coming up to temperature and pressures, which I kind of missed on the left front. I was off of I think it just, I don't know, maybe I was going a little quicker or something. I don't know, but it was about a couple tenths off of what it should have been, so too high. So that kind of hurt me later in the stint, but not real bad. The car is super stable. Again, it's just the only thing you got to worry about, it's got some of that turbo hit, And of course, it's got so much mid-range, like I said, like kind of like the Bentley, that that's what you're trying to fight, is you're trying to make sure that the car gets maximum forward acceleration and not spinning the tire. But it takes the bumps really, really good. And that was one of my fast laps. That was a 144.42. So again, I mean, a really good time for me. You see it hit 164. So that's the same speed as it was in with the aggressive setup. So it's usually 163 to 164. So again, that's really didn't lose much of anything as far as speed down the straightaway. Maybe a teeny bit, but not much. So let's go over the timetables. Now, you can see I did, 27 laps. Now, the first few, I actually did the aggressive again. And you can see I ran right where I thought it would. I ran a 145.05, like I said. One, I just kind of wanted to get myself loosened up as far as, driving it and, seeing what I could do. And also, I didn't have the Motec turned on. I didn't have it selected, so it wasn't recording any of the dampers. So I wanted to do that anyway. So I went ahead and did. That's why I wanted to do a few laps. We can look at that, like I said, so we can kind of compare the two after it's all been adjusted and weighed as stock. So, but you can see that's. I don't think there's really much more in it. That's what I could get out of it. With these weather conditions, basically 24, 25C. So again, I think it's a good time though. For me, that's not a terrible time with 65 liters, 45.0. So, I think the setup is not bad at all, to be honest, aggressive. But again, there's a lot of room for improvement. So here's the laps that I did here at 11. I did 11 laps. And you can see here, with the one lap we watched, I did the same lap time twice. If I would have had this here, that would have been another 10th and a half. I would have been down in the 30s. I would have had a 144.3. So again, I wasn't aggressive enough in that last chicane down there. I could have gained another 10th of over 10th. So I could have been maybe even the 20s, but definitely 20s or 30s. So again, it's a good amount faster. A good 6-7 tenths of a second, and again, it stayed relatively close. 85, 42, 62, 42, 65. Then I made a few mistakes and ran at 15, then back into 44s, and then lower 45s. And then the last two, I ran a 43 and a 30. So again, and of course, I am trying a couple different things, always to see if it hurts it or helps it. I did knock the brake bias down a little bit, which I was trying to get used to the car at that. And it seemed to help it a little bit, especially the rotation of it. So I think I could have kept it around in the lower 45s. So again, it's not bad. Again, I really think you could do a little bit more tuning to it to keep it even closer. But I think that for the temperatures and the conditions, I think, and for me and my pace, I think that's really good. So I'm really happy with it. So let's go to the setup. So the setup we got here is I got 24.8 left front, 25.2 left rear, 26.5 right front, and 26.4 right rear. So let's see here. And the other one was 24.7, 25.5, 26.4, and 26.6. So again, a little bit different just from the balance of the car. Of course, the toe's the same. Camber's a lot different. So is the caster. Toe on the rear is not too bad, about the same. Pretty big difference with the camber on the back between the aggressive and mine. Again, I was keeping the tire temps between right around 3 degree separation from inner to outer. That just seems to work the best most of the time. Yeah, depending on the track, but here, I was trying to keep it right around 3. So that's what adjusted this. That's why I would adjust the negative camber to try to keep it at that. I tried a few different things as far as the negative camber. Again, I would have liked to try some more toe. I would have liked to try to, next thing I would have liked to do is put some more negative toe in it to see if that helped or hurt, or maybe even some more positive toe in the rear. But again, those are things that I would like to, I would try if I was going to keep trying to find some more time. As far as the electronics are 3 and 4, and that's the other one's 2 and 4, I think. So again, that's actually with one more click of TC in it. Let's see, fuel. Of course, I had the same 65 liters. Now, this is the important part because this is what we had after the 11 laps. Now, on the other one, of course, the left front was at a 2.50 here on the inner and a 2.68 down here on the inner of the rear. Okay, so you can see the difference because it had more wear on the front here and less wear on the rear here. So that's what the aggressive setup had. So what I did is I got this closer. I got this closer front to rear. So there's a bigger gap between the front and the rear on the aggressive setup, and plus it had moderate graining and a light blister. This just has light graining, so that's not that bad. No, that's not terrible. So again, and plus I like this, which again, I would try to even go a little bit more just to bring it even a little bit closer. This side's fine. This side's got 279 and 277. And when we were doing the aggressive, it was 278 on both. But I don't mind that. A little bit more wear on the rear is fine. That shows me that it's rotating fine. But, of course, the left side here is what takes all the beating. So, again, I'm really happy with the wear. There's still some improvements can be made, I'm sure. But I still think it's gone a huge step towards keeping this more consistent. Again, I would like to see that even a little bit more, and that way it would keep it the times and a lot easier to drive and keep the times closer from one lap to the next. So again, yeah, you might not have the grip, but it's not going to go into an understeer or oversteer. It's going to keep the car more neutral if you can keep these closer together. So that's what I try to do for a race type setup. So let's go with the mechanical grip. Of course, I got 7 on the anti-roll bar, 60.1 on the brake bias. Steering is 13. Springs are 166,000 on the front with a 600 bump stop rate, a 2 bump stop range on the left, and a 5 bump stop range on the right. And on the rear, the springs are 136,000 with a 900 bump stop rate, with a 10 bump stop range on the left, and a 20 bump stop range on the right. Anti-roll bar is 4, and the preload on the diff is 160. So again, big difference with those. The anti-roll bar in the front on the aggressive was a couple clicks off. The brake bias had more towards the front, and actually I would like to go more towards the rear. That's what I would like to do. So, and I'll show you maybe some things to try, but I would like to start off more like that, about one full point down is where I'd like to start off. And then maybe be able to go down to here or something like that, because it needs more rear action, and that would help, again, with the rear tires wearing the same as the fronts. So that would be the next step in the evolution of the setup. Again, the springs in the front were 166,000, same as what I didn't try anything else. Of course, their bump stop rates are totally different in ranges. Their bump stop rates were like 800 in the front and real tight with just 1, where I had it a little bit looser and staggered. So the left front was a little bit stiffer since you're always in these hard right-hand corners. And then on the rear, the springs are 136,000, like I said, on mine, where they were 126,000 on the aggressive setup. So again, I got stiffer rear springs. That helps it rotate. The bump stop rate is way higher. They only had 500, while I have 900, and it's a lot tighter. So again, because what happens is, if the car, you go on these long right-hand turns, okay, and you can look for yourself, just drive the car and watch the replay of it, and look at the like I said, look at the left rear of the car. If you see that car really squatting or moving down, that's gonna make the car understeer. It's gonna, because what's gonna do is the opposite corner is gonna want to lift up. So you're gonna get some rotation there, some tilt on the car. So you might even lose some aero balance, and you're also gonna lose, as far as the back end moving down is going to want to raise the front of the car in the opposite corner. So what that's going to do is it's going to make the car want to understeer. So what you're trying to do in these long, fast corners is you're trying to keep that car, where all the pressure is going, if you have a long right-hand turn, you're wanting to keep that left rear as solid as you can, so the aero balance stays where it needs to stay, and it keeps that weight up on the right front to help it turn. So that's what you're trying to do, because you got a lot of forces and all that trying to push that left rear down. So again, but of course you can't just, it's got to have a little give, obviously, for just bumps and track bumps and things like that. So if you get too stiff, then it's not good either. But you got to try to find that balance to where the car is still moving and things like that. So, but again, it's just all a balancing act, trying to get the thing to still stay where it is, and maybe a teeny bit of movement, but not too much movement. Otherwise, it affects the handling. Of course, the rear, it had a 3 anti-roll bar and 100 on the diff, where I have a 4 on the anti-roll bar and a 160 on the diff. So I do that because basically with the 4 on the anti-roll bar, I need a little bit more rotation since I got more wing and I got more preload on the diff. So that's why I added one more click to help the car rotate. Now you could maybe try to go one more. So that's another thing that you could do to try and leave everything else the same, not change anything, and just put one more click, a diff anti-roll bar in it. That might help the car rotate that little bit more, and you might be able to gain some more time there. So again, that's something that I would suggest. Here with the Nissan, I want more preload, because the thing is, you just got, you got the torque of this thing all the time, and you need both tires digging. This thing spins up so easy that if you don't have the diff locking up to where it will get both tires digging, you end up getting the back end getting too happy on you. As far as the shocks, well, let's go over the shocks. Let's go over Motec and see what we're at with the shocks, because we want to see what compare the both of them. Okay, so and I haven't even looked at these as far as this after doing that. So I just wanted to wait, and we all look at it together. So it looks like I could use some adjustments. But let's look at here's a fast lap from the stock one. Now there's that. So that's the standard setup. So there's a standard. Not bad, not terrible. I was actually thinking that they might have used Motec on this or something, because it's not too bad, really, to be honest. When I looked at it earlier on that was another car. I'm sorry, it wasn't this car. It was another car. That's right, because I didn't have this one selected. But yeah, when I looked at another car, I thought they had Motec, and some of these it seems like they're pretty close, and other ones are pretty far off. So these actually look pretty close because that's 50.2, that's 49.2, that's 50.8. I mean, nothing real bad. That's 52. That's off a little bit, and that's like 52, so that's off a little bit. But still, that's 46. That's kind of off too on the other way. I mean, they're not terrible. I've seen them a lot worse than this. Actually, not real bad. So again, I'm impressed. It's not a terrible thing, and it's one of those things where some of them are pretty close, and then other ones are like pretty far off. So it just all depends. Let's go to ours. Which you can see is definitely different. So you can see this is still off. That's about 51. So this needs to be taken down a little bit there. This is 48.8. Not terrible. Looks like it's still got a little bit too much, but nothing real bad. Actually, could maybe use one more click. So we'll go up to there and go one more click. This is 49.9, so that's not bad, but still a little bit high. So again, we'll just take a teeny bit out of that. One click. That's 49, just barely over 50. So again, nothing really bad. Leave that one alone. It's close enough. This one's 49, a little over 50. So again, this needs to come down just a little bit. This one's 49.8. So again, that's nothing real bad. I mean, it definitely needs to come down. This needs to come down here. So the graph needs to be a little bit better. So this is too high. So that needs to come down for sure. See, even though the 49.8 is not too bad, but this is not good here. So yeah, that's this. It's a pretty big difference too. So probably can go up here one or two, but knock this down. Pretty big adjustment, because this needs to come down big time, like down here. This could go up a little bit, but this needs to all come down. So that should help the rear end out as far as, even better. Whoops. So let's go to this side, which is 47. That's 48. 48 something. Again, little off. Not real bad. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, shoot. I did the wrong thing. Oh, did the wrong one. I knew something was wrong. Okay, let's put that back. Did the wrong one. So this is the one I was thinking of. Let's see. We got 49.8. So it's this side. So, yeah, this is already almost all the way down. So you can't really go much more down than that. I can go up here. So I'll go up there. But it's already too high here. Probably because the stiffer spring. So again, this is things that you got to try. Again, there's still some more adjustments that can be had. See, this one's not as bad. So it's 51.6. It's not as bad as this one, but again, let's look at another one. We'll look at another one too and see what it looks like. So again, it could be just hitting something on that lap that upset the car. So let's look at another lap and see if it's the same. Yeah, see, it's a lot better there. So it must have been just hitting a bad bump. Sometimes you get those crazy spots in there. That's not near as bad. And see, it's 49. Just a little over 50, so see, that's not that bad. And I clicked that down, actually, just one click, so that should help it a little bit. That's still 51. And of course, these here I made adjustments on. So again, it's a little bit different. They're still pretty close as far as all the ranges and the graphs. They're all pretty close. But again, there's always more that you can do, always more that you can tune into it. But every time you change something, as far as the downforce of the car, the bump stop rates, the ranges, everything. Every time you change it, it changes all this. Everything changes. So that's another thing. The more changes you do, then you got to go back and start chasing yourself, because then this changes all this stuff too. So it is a lot of dog chasing your tail type of stuff. But I still think that it's an improvement, and I think that it's a lot closer than what it was as far as being more dialed in. Again, I still think that it goes over the bumps really well. So, and I'll give you some suggestions of what you can do to have different options with this aero. The aero is the same ride heights that are on the aggressive. The only thing I did is I got the wing maxed out. And you can see that it didn't add, I mean, if I lost speed, I lost maybe a half a mile an hour. But you gain it because the car, needs the traction in the back, and you end up spinning everywhere else. It almost needs to lower it down another click in the rear, if anything, 1 or 2 clicks. So again, that's something that I would try if I was going to keep trying to work on this setup. I would probably go down in the back 1 or 2 clicks, because also it goes up to when the fuel comes down. As you can see, this comes up 1 and this comes up 2 if you went down to all the way down to empty. So that's I always take that into consideration, because that makes a difference later on in the stint. The car's ride height changing. It's nothing super dramatic, but I mean, it still does change it. And again, it seemed like you want to get more wear on the rear tires. That's what we wanted. We need to make another step of evening the front to rear out. And the only way to do that is to basically probably go down 1 or 2 clicks and try that. And then maybe you can go down, like I said, and start around 59 on the brake bias, or 58 something, and try it. And then, of course, you might have to put another click or any roll bar in it. So again, there's always things to try, always things to do. But those are things that I suggest that you can try to make it better for you, fit your driving style. Again, when I do setups, I try to do them in a general sense. I can't, I want them to work for me the best that I can, but I also take into consideration how drivable they are, and if they're too hard to handle, because a lot of people won't be able to get that out of it. That's why there's a lot of setups out there that are good, but maybe unless you're really talented or an alien, you can't get the time out of it. So again, I try to have it to where most people can get good times, or at least improve upon their times. Maybe not get the time that I'm getting, but make a big improvement on their personal best with it. So that's what my goal is. So I mean, in conclusion, I really think that it's worth a custom setup, compared to the aggressive. I mean, that's a lot of time on the table that you're gaining. As far as between the two, and the drivability of the car is so much better. And and that doesn't include the racing. You get in racing where you're mixing it up with other cars, and you need every bit of drivability with that car, and being able to put the car wherever you need it, because you don't ever know. You're going to be offline. You're going to be doing have to outbrake somebody. whatever the case is, and you need to be able to do those things to make a pass. So you need a very drivable car that's very versatile, not just a one talent wonder type thing where you can go down the straightaway and pass somebody, but that's the only thing that you can ever do. That's it can't be that way. In my opinion, it's got to be a car that's better balanced and better to be able to outbrake or handle somebody to where you can make a pass in other parts of the track. So again, I take that into consideration and try to make that the best that I can. And of course, my setups are free. So again, if you try it and you don't like it or it doesn't work the best for you, I understand. But you didn't really lose anything. The only thing you lost is some time, compared to going and trying some setups and you had to pay for them and things like that. So again, it's your choice. But I think that the setups are good. I mean, I know there's a lot of good ones out there. So I'm not saying that. But I definitely think whether it's mine or whether it's, Coach Dave's or any of the other ones that are out there, I mean, I'm sure there's a big improvement compared to that, to the aggressive. And it's not just one lap. I mean, even in one lap, I'm a half a second to 6/10 second, at least 6/10 faster in one lap. But the big thing is over a race is where you're gaining a lot of time, not just the one lap. And that's where I think the custom setup to fit your driving style or to fit what you like really makes a big difference in how well you do in ACC. So again, I hope you enjoyed the video. And of course, I'll leave a link to this setup in the description. And I sure hope that you give me a like and subscribe. And again, all my older setups, all setups that I have are in my playlist. They're all free. Again, I do have a PayPal account if you want to help support the channel that way. But, I mean, anything is fine. I appreciate any kind of support, whether it's from PayPal or if it's a like, subscribing, sharing. All those things are support. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that has done that. And I sure hope you come back and visit again really soon. Y'all take care. See ya.